Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Criterion, and we've now over 600 subscribers to the channel. Many thanks to you all, and I'm glad you're enjoying the channel. In this edition we'll be looking at the Gus Van Sant film To Die For. Now Gus Van Sant's earned acclaim as an independent filmmaker. His films typically deal with the themes of marginalised subcultures, and in particular homosexuality. Van Sant's also considered as one of the most prominent auteurs of the new queer cinema movement. His early films were mainly set in the Pacific Northwest, and he made his feature-length cinematic directorial debut in 1985 with the film Malinoche. His second feature was Drugstore Cowboy in 1989, and that was highly acclaimed and earned him screenwriting awards from the LA Film Critics Association and the New York Film Critics Circle, and the award for Best Director from the National Society of Film Critics. His next film from that was My Own Private Idaho in 1991, and that was similarly praised, as indeed was the film we're looking at today, To Die For. To Die For is a 1995 satirical black comedy directed by Gus Van Sant and written by Buck Henry. It's based on Joyce Maynard's novel of the same name, in which turn, of course, it was inspired by the story of Pamela Smart. It stars Nicole Kidman, Joaquin Phoenix, Matt Dillon, Illeana Douglas, Wayne Knight, Casey Affleck, Kurtwood Smith, Dan Hedaya and Alison Folland in supporting roles. Kidman was nominated for a BAFTA, and she also won a Golden Globe Award and the Best Actress Award at the first Empire Awards for her performance in the film. Her character has been described as suffering from narcissistic personality disorder in the scientific journal BMC Psychiatry. When Suzanne Stone, Nicole Kidman, sees the paparazzi's flashbulbs, she feels a wave of exhilaration, even at the funeral of her own husband, even though she happened to help put him in his grave. Details nasty as they are, they can't shake Suzanne's faith in her own tirelessly cultivated celebrity. At last, she has won the media attention that she regards as life's sweetest reward. Because Suzanne believes in the redeeming power of television, she has made herself its candy-coloured creature, turning her job as a weather girl into the apotheosis of empty fame. Her whole life revolves around the idea of glamour, and when she serves dinner, it's famous food she serves. This is the dish they serve in Johnny Carson's favourite restaurant in Hollywood, she says, and she's star enough to avoid the actual cooking of it. When she gets married, it's in a veil, copied from Maria Shriver's. And even when she's in private, she remains a coyly, decorative public person. Now, sometimes we get exactly the satire that we deserve, and this is one of them. To Die For is an irresistible black comedy, and it's a wicked delight, taking aim at tabloid ethics and hitting a solid bullseye with Nicole Kidman's teasingly beautiful Suzanne as the most alluring of media-mad monsters. Now, the target for the film is broad, but Gus Van Sant's film is too expertly sharp and funny for that to matter. Instead, it shows off this director's slyness better than any of his previous work since Drugstore Cowboy. Devilish wit sets To Die For worlds apart from the unwatchable fiasco Even Cowgirls Get the Blues. Both Mr. Van Sant and Miss Kidman have reinvented themselves miraculously for this occasion, and it brings out all the best in all concerned. As I say, it's based on a novel by Joyce Maynard and unofficially embellishes the case of Pamela Smart, the 23-year-old New Hampshire schoolteacher tried in 1991 for conspiring with 4 teenage students to kill her husband. Now, the story has been tightened deftly by Buck Henry's screenplay. Incidentally, Buck Henry co-wrote the screenplay for The Graduate, so his credentials certainly speak for themselves. Using Miss Maynard's narrative idea of having many different characters comment on Suzanne's life, this movie becomes a quick, punchy string of sound bites, many of them setting up our tabloid culture's love of the ready cliché. She is seen bursting into their lives, snagging Larry, marrying him, and then becoming too career-obsessed to even care about being much of a wife. But not everyone who knows Larry shares his infatuation. Take his sister Janice, played with terrific snappish zest by Illeana Douglas, who often appears on ice skates in the film. When Suzanne sulks because Janice may land the Peggy Lipton role in a skating tribute to the Mod Squad, it's clear that their rivalry is much too serious to go away. To be fair, Janice and the Morettos are right to worry about Suzanne. She doesn't want children, she says, because it would be difficult to cover a royal wedding while pregnant. Meanwhile, Matt Dillon does a sneakily fine job of aging from young stud to bewildered couch potato. He went from Van Halen to Jerry Vale overnight. He's a man who can't understand why his wife doesn't share his interest in plastic plants. And what would have once been the Matt Dillon role in To Die For is played by Joaquin Phoenix, the slow-eyed younger brother of River Phoenix, who is cast as this film's bewildered teenage hunk. When Suzanne arrives to make a documentary in his high school classroom, looking sensational and sounding gloriously insincere about her interest in schoolboy thinking, Mr. Phoenix, Jimmy Emmett and his friends Lydia and Russell, played by Alison Folland and Casey Affleck, are agog. Beatrix Aruna Pastor's show-stopping costumes, or the most amusing movie clothes this side of Clueless, make great fun out of the contrast between the kids, so drab and grungy, and Suzanne, who's dressed to kill. They're dazzled and flattered to be taken seriously by this glamorous cable TV personality, and soon she is necking with Jimmy and persuading them all to help her commit murder. To Die For is the kind of movie that's merciless with its characters, and Nicole Kidman is superb at making Suzanne into someone who is not only stupid, vain and egomaniacal, but also vulnerably human. She represents on a large scale feelings we have all had in smaller and sneakier ways. She simply lacks the skill in concealing them. And sure enough, when Larry suggests that Suzanne give up her weather reports, the idea of killing comes to mind. To Die For does not have to ask how a young man and woman from perfectly nice families, that's Dan Hedaya and Maria Tucci, make properly dismayed parents for Larry, could come to this. The film doesn't have to hammer home its thought that a tabloid-based culture rewards virtue and notoriety equally well, and that it's possible in this climate to be a killer and even come out ahead. Well, at least in terms of fame and fortune, that is. Now, the role of Suzanne Stone was originally offered to Meg Ryan, but she turned down the part and the $5 million salary offered with it. Kidman, who was later cast in the role, was only paid $2 million. High school scenes were filmed in 1994 at King City Secondary School in King City, Ontario in Canada, featured as Little Hope High, and cast some of the actual students of the school as extras. And this film finally, though, is all about Suzanne, and Nicole Kidman's work here is inspired. Her clothes, her makeup, her hair, her speech, her manner, even the way she carries herself as if she's aware of the eyes of millions looking on her, are all brought to a perfect pitch in this performance. Her Suzanne is so utterly absorbed in being herself that there is an eerie conviction even in the comedy. She plays Suzanne as a kind of woman who pities us, because we aren't her. And you know what? We never will be. Now, of course, 2 years after this, Gus Van Sant brought us Good Will Hunting. And we all know how that advanced his career, certainly in the eyes of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and especially did very well for two young actors and a seasoned professional. To Die For gets a well-earned release from Criterion, and of course 2 discs, and the following brief list of special features. We have a new 4K digital restoration, which is approved by the director Gus Van Sant and the director of photography Eric Allen Edwards. There's a 5.1 surround DTS HD master soundtrack with one 4K UHD disc of the film that's presented in Dolby Vision HDR, and one Blu-ray with the film and these features. Audio commentary featuring Van Sant, Edwards, and the editor Curtis Clayton. Deleted scenes and a trailer. Pretty low on the features, this one. And an essay by the film critic Jessica Kyang. And the design for the cover is by Tori Hun. To Die For is a genuinely engaging and at times challenging film, constructed with the same mastery apparent in Van Sant's other work. And it's a film that remains as watchable as ever. It's a running time of 106 minutes, and it's in a 1:8:5:1 aspect ratio, and it releases on Tuesday the 26th of March as a 4K UHD Blu-ray combo with spine number 1213. And another film I would strongly recommend for you to see is Gus Van Sant's Elephant. Now, I'm particularly waiting for that to turn up in the Criterion collection. It's got very little dialogue, and it's his take on what occurred from multiple viewpoints in the Columbine shootings. In our next edition, we'll be looking at the 4K UHD upgrade of Mathieu Kassavetz's breakout feature, La Haine, from 1995. So until next time, from me, it's goodbye, and above all, good Criterion viewing.